Voices Beyond Strength, The Dawn of Equality. Part 1. Chains of Bloodline. The kingdom of Astralis stretched across the stars like a jeweled crown, its 12 great families ruling with an iron grip polished by centuries of tradition. Humanity had conquered the dangers of space, radiation storms, alien pathogens, the cold silence of the void, but in doing so, they had built new prisons for themselves. The ABO system, once a natural quirk of biology, had been codified into law, into hierarchy, into destiny. Alphas commanded, betas endured, and omegas obeyed. Strength was measured not in compassion or wisdom but in raw ability, in the force of pheromones and the dominance of bloodlines. Among the 12 families, the House of Kale was renowned for its warriors. Their ancestors had led fleets into battle against the last remnants of cosmic threats, and their descendants carried the weight of that glory. Yet within the House of Kale was born an Omega child who did not shine. His name was Eren, and though his lineage was impeccable, his strength was meager. His pheromones were faint, his body frail, his spirit gentle. In a world where Omegas were prized for their ability to bond with powerful alphas, Eren was a disappointment. From the moment he came of age, whispers followed him. A Kale without strength, they said. A weakling among lions. His parents, bound by duty to the family's reputation, arranged his marriage swiftly. The match was with Lord Dareth of the House of Vanar, another of the 12 families, an alpha of considerable strength and ambition. The union was meant to bind two houses together, to reinforce the bloodlines, to ensure that the next generation would not falter. Eren did not protest. He had been taught obedience, silence, and the futility of resistance. On the day of his wedding, he wore robes of silver and blue, his eyes lowered, his heart trembling. Dareth stood tall beside him, broad-shouldered, his aura suffocating. The vows were spoken, the bonds sealed, and Eren's fate was set. The years that followed were a slow descent into despair. Dareth was not cruel in the way of blades or fists, but his dominance was relentless. He demanded perfection, obedience, and strength that Eren could not give. The Vanar household treated Eren as a burden, a weak link in their chain of prestige. Servants whispered, in-laws sneered, and Dareth himself grew cold. Eren tried. He tried to fulfill his duties, to host gatherings, to bear the weight of expectation. But his body faltered, his spirit broke, and his efforts were never enough. Nights were filled with silence, days with scorn. He was trapped in a gilded cage, unable to return to his own family, for the Kales had given him away, and to take him back would be to admit failure. 5 years passed in this toxic marriage. 5 years of loneliness, of humiliation, of quiet suffering. Eren's health waned, his smile faded, and his hope dwindled. At last, when even Dareth grew weary of the charade, the divorce was granted. It was not mercy but convenience. The Vanars had no use for a weak Omega, and the Kales would not reclaim him. Eren stepped out of the gates of the Vanar estate with nothing but a small bag of belongings. No home awaited him, no family embraced him, no friends stood by his side. He was a discarded piece of a grand machine, a shadow among stars. And yet, in the quiet of his despair, a thought flickered. The marriage system. It was a mechanism designed for those without arranged unions, a way to match individuals based on compatibility rather than lineage. Most of the elite scorned it, but for the abandoned, the forgotten, the ordinary, it was a lifeline. With trembling hands, Eren entered his information. His heart pounded as the system processed, as algorithms spun, as fate was rewritten. And then, a name appeared. Kaleth. An alpha. A match. Eren stared at the name glowing on the screen. Kaleth. It was unfamiliar, not one of the 12 families, not a name whispered in the halls of power. His heart twisted with both relief and dread. Relief, because this alpha was not tied to the suffocating chains of lineage. Dread, because without lineage, what future could they possibly have? The system provided only the barest details: age, occupation, compatibility score. The score was high, startlingly high, as though fate itself had reached down to pluck this alpha from obscurity and place him before Aaron. He hesitated, fingers trembling above the confirmation key. He had been broken once, shattered by the cruelty of tradition. Could he risk another bond? But the alternative was emptiness. Alone, discarded, forgotten. And so, with a breath that felt like surrender, Aaron pressed accept. The meeting was arranged in a quiet district far from the glittering estates of the 12 families. Aaron arrived in plain clothes, his silver kale crest tucked away, his eyes lowered. He expected arrogance, dominance, the suffocating aura of an alpha. Instead, he found a man waiting with a gentle smile. Caliph was tall, yes, but his presence was not oppressive. His eyes were warm, his posture relaxed, his voice calm. "You must be Aaron," he said, as though greeting an old friend rather than a stranger bound by fate. Aaron nodded, words caught in his throat. They spoke for hours. About simple things, food, books, the quiet beauty of the stars. Caliph did not pry into Aaron's past, did not demand explanations, did not measure him against impossible standards. For the first time in years, Aaron felt seen not as a weak omega, not as a failed heir, but as a person. When Caliph proposed marriage, it was not with the weight of obligation but with the promise of companionship. "I don't have much," he admitted. "No grand family name, no palace halls. But I can offer you peace. A life without chains." Aaron's heart ached. Peace was all he had ever wanted. And so he agreed. Their wedding was modest, attended not by nobles but by neighbors, friends, ordinary folk. There were no jeweled crowns, no ancestral banners, only laughter and warmth. Aaron wore simple white, Caliph a dark suit, and together they spoke vows that felt real, not rehearsed. For the first time, Aaron believed he might live like the Betas, simple, unremarkable, free from the crushing expectations of power. He dreamed of quiet mornings, shared meals, the gentle rhythm of ordinary life. But beneath Caliph's calm exterior lay secrets Aaron could not yet see. For Caliph was not mediocre. He was the strongest alpha in the kingdom, his strength hidden, his ambitions cloaked. And while Aaron sought peace, Caliph sought change. Life with Caliph unfolded in quiet rhythms. Their home was modest, tucked away in a district where Betas lived without the weight of ancestral pride. The walls were plain, the furniture simple, but to Aaron it felt like sanctuary. No sneers, no suffocating expectations, no endless reminders of weakness. Caliph rose early each morning, preparing breakfast with his own hands. He spoke little of his work, only that he managed projects and networks, vague words that Aaron did not press upon. After years of being scrutinized for every breath, he cherished the silence, the freedom to exist without interrogation. Days passed in gentle cadence. Aaron learned to shop in bustling markets, to cook meals without servants, to mend clothes with his own hands. These tasks, small and ordinary, filled him with a sense of dignity he had never known. He began to smile again, tentative at first, then genuine. Yet, beneath the surface, Caliph's life was far from ordinary. He disappeared for hours, sometimes days, always returning with calm explanations. "Meetings," he would say. "Work." His eyes carried a depth Aaron could not decipher, a weight that seemed too heavy for a man of humble background. One evening, as they shared tea beneath the stars, Aaron asked softly, "Why did the system match us? You could have chosen anyone." Caliph's gaze lingered on the horizon. "Because I wanted someone who understood what it means to be overlooked. Someone who knows the pain of being judged by strength alone." Aaron's heart tightened. He had lived that pain, drowned in it. To hear it spoken with such conviction stirred something within him. Still, doubts lingered. Aaron had been taught that alphas sought power, dominance, prestige. Caliph seemed different, but could it be true? Or was this another mask, another trap? Weeks turned into months, and Aaron began to notice subtle signs. Letters arriving at odd hours, visitors cloaked in secrecy, whispers exchanged behind closed doors. Caliph's projects were not simple work. They were something larger, something hidden. One night, unable to contain his curiosity, Eren followed Kaleth discreetly. He trailed him through winding streets until they reached a warehouse lit dimly from within. Through a crack in the door, Eren glimpsed a gathering, men and women of all designations, Alpha, Beta, Omega, seated as equals around a table. Maps, documents, and devices lay scattered, their voices hushed but urgent. Kaleth stood at the center, commanding not with dominance, but with respect. "We must dismantle the chains," he said. "The ABO system has enslaved us long enough. Strength should not dictate worth. Equality must be our future." Eren's breath caught. His husband was not mediocre. He was a leader, a visionary, the strongest alpha in the kingdom, hiding his power, building a network, plotting change. Fear surged through Eren. To challenge the 12 families was to invite ruin. Yet, beneath the fear, a spark of hope flickered. Could such a dream be possible? Could the world truly change? He returned home before Kaleth noticed, his mind racing. For the first time, Eren's life was not merely survival. It was the beginning of something greater, though he did not yet understand the role he would play. Eren lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling of their modest home. His mind churned with the images he had seen. Kaleth standing before a gathering of alphas, betas, and omegas, speaking words that defied centuries of law. Equality must be our future. It was a dream so vast, so impossible, that Eren could scarcely comprehend it. Fear gnawed at him. He had lived under the crushing weight of tradition, had been broken by the cruelty of a family that valued strength above humanity. To challenge the 12 families was to invite annihilation. He imagined Kaleth dragged before the council, condemned, executed. He imagined himself once again discarded, alone. And yet, beneath the fear, something stirred. Hope. A fragile, trembling hope that perhaps the world could be different. That perhaps his suffering had not been in vain. That perhaps Kaleth's vision was not madness, but destiny. Days passed, and Eren wrestled with silence. He wanted to confront Kaleth, to demand answers, but fear held his tongue. Instead, he watched. He watched the way Kaleth treated those around him, with respect, with kindness, with equality. He watched the way neighbors, betas and omegas alike, greeted him not with fear but with trust. He watched the way Kaleth's eyes softened when they fell upon him, as though Eren himself were proof of the world he sought to build. Finally, one evening, Eren spoke. "I saw you," he whispered, voice trembling, "at the warehouse. I heard your words." Kaleth did not deny it. He did not grow angry. He simply nodded, his gaze steady. "Then you know the truth." Eren's breath shook. "You'll be destroyed. The families will never allow it." Kaleth reached across the table, taking Eren's hand in his. His grip was firm, not oppressive, a promise rather than a command. "They cannot destroy what has already begun. The people are ready. They are tired of chains. And I will not stop until the world is free." Tears welled in Eren's eyes. He had been taught to fear alphas, to obey them, to endure their dominance. Yet here was an alpha who spoke of freedom, who dreamed of equality, who saw him not as weak, but as worthy. "I don't have strength," Eren whispered. "I can't fight." Kaleth's smile was gentle. "Strength is not only in muscle or pheromones. Strength is in endurance, in compassion, in hope. You have survived what would have broken others. That is strength enough." For the first time in years, Eren believed him. That night, as they sat together beneath the stars, Eren made a choice. He would trust Kaleth. He would walk beside him, not as a pawn of lineage, but as a partner in a dream. He did not yet know what role he would play, nor how the world would change, but he knew this. He would no longer be silent. And so, Part 1 closes with Eren's quiet resolve. From the ashes of a toxic marriage, from the chains of bloodline, from the despair of abandonment, he had found something new, a bond not of obligation but of hope. A bond that would carry him into the storm to come.